The following program is a podcast1.com production.
Your healthy radio addiction starts now.
Power to the people!
The Laura Ingraham Show.
Christmas is the time to say I love you. Share the joy of laughter and good cheer. Christmas is the time to say I love you. And I feel that the last of the year.
I think we do end up having a lot of collateral matters to talk about as a result of the president's desire to tweet.
I disavow these requirements. I regret those comments that he made. I don't think claiming a person can't do their job because of their race is sort of like the textbook definition of a racist comment.
You've ended the overregulation of the American economy. And that, coupled with what we did last night and what the House finished this morning, means America is going to start growing again. Thank you, Mr. President, for all you're doing.
Something this big, something this generational, something this profound could not have been done without exquisite presidential leadership. Mr. President, thank you for getting us over the finish line. Thank you for getting us where we are.
You'll like me very much, believe me. All right? You're going to like me very much. It's going to be fun.
Well, he did say that they were going to love him. He did say that just watch what I'm going to do and you will come to like me. You might not love my tone at times. You might not love my tweeting, as we heard from Mitch McConnell. You might not love the fact that I took on a Hispanic judge, Paul Ryan. You might not like the fact that I responded to that Khizr Khan at the Democrat National Convention, or said he liked POWs who didn't get caught. But he did say to them, just watch what I can do. And at the end of his first year in office, I don't see how you conclude anything except that this has been a wildly successful first year in office for this president. 855-40-LAURA. We were at the White House yesterday for the big celebration. It was quite a thing to behold. It was after we did the Pence interview, getting ready for the Pence interview, and we walked over to the South Lawn, and boy, they needed something big to celebrate over there. And it's Christmas time. Christmas is in the air, and most Americans are going to get a tax cut. Look, it's not, if we had our druthers, it would be a lot different. But it's a massive change to the U.S. tax code. We still have 7 brackets. All but 2 of them have tax cuts, including the upper, including the middle. You get double the standard deduction for couples. Now companies are starting to deliver bonuses to employees, like Comcast, NBC Comcast. Is Mika and Joe and the whole panel on MSNBC, I look forward to that check being delivered to the poor. Maybe Food for the Poor. By the way, Food for the Poor, I want 3 $10,000 contributions today. Food for the Poor, I want 3 of you to step up $10,000 each for a phenomenal organization that will help save 200 children. Just this week alone, if we get that money to Food for the Poor, 200 children will be saved for this year, food and water for them and their families. So Food for the Poor, just go to lauraingraham.com. But I urge the entire panel this morning on MSNBC who could find nothing positive to say. They were still talking about the 2016 election. They think that Trump is obsessed with the 2016 election cycle. I think they should look in the mirror because they're the ones obsessed with the fact that they were humiliated and embarrassed that he actually won.
But can't they for one day just cover the thing and say,
you know what,
there are problems with the tax bill. It may hurt the deficit, whatever. They can be critical, but let the Republicans have their moment of celebration. You remember when the Democrats, when they passed Obamacare, it was like the Messiah had arrived on the South Lawn.
Oh yeah, and they were. We're going to talk about one of the more vile things that was written yesterday on Twitter about the event. We'll talk about that in a few moments. It really was a new low for the left, a new low. But let's going back to the mood at the White House yesterday. I mean, again, these staffers have been walking through the fire of incoming from the media and questions from Mueller and all for basically a year. There's a lot of tumult. So I went up to General Kelly and I said to him, first of all, Merry Christmas. And he's so humble. I mean, he's just, the guy is the portrait of humility. And I said, great to see you. I gave him a Christmas hug. And I said, by the way, I don't think today would have been possible had you not stepped in as chief of staff. Because, it's the president's drive that gets this done with willing partners on the Hill, no doubt about it. However, Kelly is a calming influence on the White House, I think, in a good way. He put some order in the process of people going into the Oval Office, so it's not like a pinball machine of activity. So even when you go over to the West Wing now, in those first couple of months, it was pretty frenetic over there. It was like a Grand Central Station at Christmas time, every day, all the time. And now it's just now the regular course of doing business, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for it, General Kelly. I adore him. I think he's such a great man. And Vice President Pence, the same thing. He is a man of such humility, in such inner confidence and grace, which means the left hates him too now. They spent most of the morning trashing him for thanking the president for, carrying on this year and remaining undeterred in this ultimate goal of tax relief. Oh, they were raking Vice President Pence over the coals. These people have no lives. They have zero substance. It's all personal attacks. That's all they have. But I'm not going to let that rain on my parade. I'm really not. I'm not going to let it rain on my parade. Now, was it funny to see Paul Ryan up there, who we all know didn't want Trump to be the nominee? And we all know that he basically made those comments about race after the Judge Curiel thing. And, after the Billy Bush thing, he canceled the Fall Fest. I never get over that. Canceled the Fall Fest event in Wisconsin that Saturday.
That's right.
Where the president was supposed to show up. So, I mean, as in a matter of just people change, and it shows you that results matter. You start winning, and people want to be with a winner.
Well, the big story, he's converted the Republican Party.
Are becoming more Trumpian.
This is a Trumpian party now, that was not the case when he won.
No. And it's much more Trump. Now, there's establishment paw prints all over this.
I didn't see little Bob Corker there yesterday. Was he there?
I did not see little Bob Corker. But the pillars, he could have gotten lost behind the pillars on the South Lawn.
Well, Big Luther was there. Maybe he was in the shadow of Big Luther.
Can you imagine Big Luther standing there going, I can't believe we lost that Senate seat. He's sitting there going, oh my God. Why
we get a recount.
Why am I here? But it was funny to see, McConnell. Well, the president's not familiar with the Senate policy, and leave it to the experts. Remember that leave it to the experts on Obamacare? Oh, okay. That worked out well.
My favorite line is when Orrin Hatch finally came up.
Oh, no. Do we have the Orrin Hatch, James? The Orrin Hatch is... I practically thought he was working for the Nobel Committee. Is Trump going to get the Nobel Prize
They may want to use Orrin Hatch to intro the figure at the Hall of the Presidents in Disney, because it's such a big wind-up.
I have to say that this is one of the great privileges of my life, to stand here on the White House lawn with the President of the United States, who I love and appreciate so much. All I can say is that God loves this country. We all know it. We wouldn't be where we are without him. And we love all of you. And we're going to keep fighting. And we're going to make this the greatest presidency that we've seen, not only in generations, but maybe ever. God bless all of you.
Thank you. I'll always like Orrin Hatch for standing up for Justice Thomas during the confirmation hearing, and he was so great in that process. He sounds his age there.
Yeah,
wow.
he's enfeebled.
Yeah. But but man, I mean
that was quite an endorsement. The greatest presidency ever. Wow.
I mean, I'm not sure we're there yet, but I mean that was. But it was something
from the heart. Yeah.
It was from the heart, and it was something to sit there and just watch that. And the Democrats were so. I can't believe they're celebrating in that manner. I'm saying to myself, you all had a pep rally for Clinton after he was impeached.
Right.
You rushed to the microphone like it was Christmas Eve.
Don't we have audio of Obama after the Obamacare victory of the big rally?
Oh yeah. So when Obama had the big Obamacare victory, they brought out the entire deal. We'll get to that later on, but. I mean, you want to talk about how when Obama celebrated, he brought in Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney. The surviving Beatles showed up, for God's sake. Joe Scarborough grousing. Let's listen.
Autocrats across the world would be embarrassed to have so many people fawning over them in public like that. And they knew that just like the Saudis and just like foreign leaders know, the price of admission is sucking up and treating him like he's the most insecure autocrat on the globe. But I wonder what man of any character would sit and listen to that without stopping and with stop. And then, of course, the question, especially for Mike Pence, is what man with any dignity would do the sort of thing that these people did yesterday?
If I were Joe Scarborough, I'd be careful about talking about character and dignity. I'd be careful about throwing rocks on the character front. I think we all can do better in that regard. Right, Joe? It's a little, well, it's disconcerting isn't the word. It's predictable. And it's petty. And most of all, it's revealing of who they are. The Republicans had a great day. Examine what's in the tax bill, do it fairly, ask some tough questions, what lies ahead. That's fine. But I mean, but this is why nobody's watching MSNBC. This is why they're they do well, okay, and Rachel Maddow can win occasionally when they have a big news night. But in general, they're speaking to a smaller and smaller audience. I think most people are going to get more money in their paychecks as I can't remember who said this yesterday. Maybe it was Kevin Brady who got up and made that point that we'll just wait until February 1st comes along, and you're going to see it all kick into your paycheck, and then people will start feeling better about their prospects for the future. Just wait. Ivanka Trump noted today that she's going to look forward to traveling in April when this really has started to kick in, and then she'll start hearing from Americans about how well we're doing or how well they're doing. 855-40-LAURA. We'll get into all of this. Do you, at this point, feel more hopeful than you did even a year ago about where we're going as a country? A year ago, President Trump, President-elect Trump, was in his transition office in New York, preparing for the inauguration. Vice President Pence was the head of the transition. They were just getting their feet wet. And remember, Donald Trump came from the world of real estate, stepping into the White House to be the commander-in-chief and our chief executive. And a year later, after the dire predictions about global economic collapse and U.S. protectionism and isolationism and nativism, what do we have? We have America back on the right track. We have an economy that is booming. We have confidence up. Housing was soaring this year. If you sold a house this year, except me, if you sold a house this year, you probably made some money on it. And black unemployment, all of it. These are good metrics. They have a lot of work to do. We have $20 trillion in debt. I'm very skeptical that you can grow your way out of that. But nevertheless, in 1 year, given the damage that's been done to this country for decades by the globalists, I think he's off to a really, really good start. Tonight on the Ingraham Angle, we're going to have a great show wrapping up this year and looking back on the highlights, the lowlights. You're not going to want to miss it. And a lot more to get to. 855-40-LAURA. Senator David Perdue will join us. He was there yesterday, of course. Scott Rasmussen's going to stop by. And the annual real versus fake Christmas tree debate coming up. Don't go away.
out the holly, put up the tree before my spirit falls again. Fill up the stocking, I may be rushing things, but deck the halls again.
I want to thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you for speaking on behalf of and fighting every day for the forgotten men and women of America. Because of your determination, because of your leadership, the forgotten men and women of America are forgotten no more, and we are making America great again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Cake, it's time we hung some tinsel on that evergreen bough. For I've grown a little leaner,
Thanks to my wonderful sponsors and your support, I'm glad to say that we can provide this podcast at no cost to you at all. As a loyal listener of my program, please consider testing our sponsors because they're the ones who actually cover the cost to produce this daily show. So if you're a dog lover like I am, how about giving your dog, your best friend, a fresh, healthy, and nutritious diet? When dogs eat well, they live longer and happier lives. I'm here to tell you about NomNomNow.com, which cooks the world's best dog food. It's made fresh in the USA and delivered right to your door every week. Nom Nom Now's customized recipes cook fresh in our kitchen, delivering healthy nutrition you can actually see. Switch to Nom Nom Now and your dog will have more energy, a shinier, softer coat, and a longer, better life. Nom Nom Now really is the best food for your best friend. And right now you can save 50% on your first 2 orders of fresh, healthy dog food when you use my code Laura at NomNomNow.com. That's code Laura and save 50% on your first 2 orders. NomNom now.com. And code word LAURA.
You made this a Christmas to remember. Springtime feelings in the middle of December.
Steve Scalisi's braver than all of us. He's braver. Where is he? Oh boy, I don't know. He had a rougher year than most of us, but it's a hell of a way to lose weight, Steve. You said you lost it. It's not a good way. We love you, Steve. Great job. Great job.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Raymond and I are sitting there.
Mike defaming my congressman.
Oh, he wasn't. He was playing around. They're good friends. The two of them have become really good friends.
Hell of a way to lose weight.
But you know why I find the backstory on this is they had joked about, Scalise had joked about it with him, and he had made that initial joke, so that was in Trump's mind. So Steve Scalise like, well, the good news is, I got to look on the bright side. I dropped 20 pounds after this. And so that's what, right. People who don't know that think that was really rude. We thought it was really funny, though. I mean, it was like something it's like something Baldwin would say on Saturday Night Live. But, well, what can you do? It was a good moment. 855-40-LAURA. We're going to talk to David Perdue coming up on the show. But, the bitter clingers. I'm going to call them the bitter clingers. The leftists. They're the bitter clingers. They're clinging to Obama, and they're bitter about Trump. So they're now the bitter clingers. To absolutely, completely bitter people. And they want to rain on our parade. James, you can just play sound bites and I'll react because this is fun this way. Go ahead.
I want to say thank you to Mr. President. Thank you, President Trump, for allowing us to have you as our president and to make America great again.
Wait. Play that again. Wait, this is Diane. Play this again.
This is really thankful.
Wait, this is thank you for being
our president.
Letting us. Wait, let's play it again.
I want to say thank you to Mr. President. Thank you, President Trump, for allowing us to have you as our president and to make America great again.
Thank you for Mr. President. Oh, no. Perhaps we need to write little notes down on a note card to facilitate our public speaking next time.
Well, they love him. That's excitement overwhelming.
Maybe
even
there was
the
a little
syntax.
Something in the eggnog before they all came out.
Well, they were all on that bus. They had that bus ride.
Oh, yeah,
from the
that
Capitol.
bus. You never know what flask was hidden in the seat cushion in that bus. We saw the buses lined up as we were leaving the White House. It was fun, though. It was a great.
Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about? Sure, Charlie Brown. I can tell you what Christmas is all about. Lights, please.
You are listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. I get a little shiver when I hear that because I remember watching it. Came on once a year when I was a kid. Now everybody has things on digitally, or maybe they have an old DVD, and they can watch anytime they want. But it was a big production in my house when these Christmas specials came on, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and of course Charlie Brown Christmas was my favorite, no doubt about it, for a whole bunch of reasons. And Lee Habib, who is the Vice President of Content for Salem Radio, and he's the founder and host of Our American Stories on radio all across the United States. He's a great storyteller, great writer. He writes for LifeZet and also had a terrific piece on LifeZet about the Charlie Brown Christmas special, which is linked up on lauraingraham.com. And he joins us now. Lee Habib, how are you?
Well, I'm great. How are you, Laura? And Merry Christmas ahead of time.
Merry Christmas, and we're going to get into the Food for the Poor push that we're doing today with Lee as well, because we got one $20,000 donor, anonymous. We have two anonymous $2,500 donors, and we have another $2,500 donor, and we have me $2,500 donor. So we've already racked up some big numbers.
I'm going to join you then. I'll be in for $2,500 too. Let's just join in the merriment. We have those of us who are graced with so much can do that, and I am so pleased to let you know. And you know Food for the Poor's work. I went to Haiti and watched what Food for the Poor did, and they're doing it in Puerto Rico and Haiti and all over Latin America. And so I'm happy to match your $2,500, Laura.
Awesome. Okay, the challenge is on. So we one $25,000 donation. You get to host the last hour of the last show of 2017. So make sure that you got some rich friends out there. $25,000. You come to Washington. You sit with me. We'll have fun. Sign all my books, and we'll have a blast together. And the $2,500 donors, you get to come on and chat with me for a few minutes now. So we're going to continue to do this all the way through the Christmas season. And this stuff makes you feel good. All right, speaking of feel good, Lee. Charlie Brown Christmas special. Why is it that this Christmas special, it has the resonance and the longevity 50 plus years later? And it's my favorite one. It always will be, but it's my kid's favorite.
I think it's the simplicity of the storytelling. It's the sincerity of the characters. I mean, Charlie Brown himself was a lot like Charles Schultz. He was lonely, he was sad, but he had a weird, quirky kind of courage. And an oblivious kind of courage, but I think he was the kind of character that we could all relate to. And this story in particular, I think it talks to our hearts because we're in the middle of commercialization of Christmas, presents, gifts, and the like, but we're forgetting about the real meaning of Christmas. And I think that scene, that gospel according to Luke scene in which Linus steps up and reads from the Bible and reminds us what Christmas is really all about. There's this guy called Christ. And he was born, and then he died. And who was he, and what did he die for? And this was what was so spectacular about this show. And Laura, as you know, and I wrote in the column, this almost made Charlie Brown's Christmas not happen, that particular scene. The advertisers didn't like it. And
this was back in 1961? When did it come out?
65, Laura. Yep.
Let's play the scene. Let's play the scene, Lee. So if you lived under a rock and you never saw this, let's listen.
And there were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Oh my God, I get chill. I literally have chills hearing that. Oh my gosh. I love the little voice. It's so cute. You just want to squeeze that. Who was that child actor? Do we know who the voiceover was done by? Look it up, Elisa. I don't know who it was, but I love the voice. I love the reading. And of course, I love the passage.
Well, I looked into that, Laura. I couldn't find the voices, but there were three things that the suits at CBS and the sponsors hated. They hated that children were doing the voices and not adult professional voiceover artists pretending to be children. They hated the Vince Guaraldi soundtrack because it was jazz, and they thought that kids wouldn't like it. By the way, Charles Schultz believed in not infantilizing children. He believed that children should be aimed at a higher level. And last but not least, they hated that reading of the gospel according to Luke. It was too religious, said CBS, and even some of his own teammates did. And here's the beauty, Laura. There's this showdown at CBS. They say, remove this stuff or else. And Charles Schultz goes, hey, you know what? You put it in TV Guide. You've advertised it. I'm not removing anything. Take it or cancel it. And by the way, they had written it off. They thought they were just going to take a tax loss. They thought it was too boring, too slow, and the kids wouldn't like it. And it got a 50 share. And they instantly commissioned 5 more Charlie Brown specials.
50 share, 50 million people. What gets a 50 share? The Super Bowl? That's about it, right?
No, not even the Super Bowl gets a 50 share, Laura. Nothing
not
gets
anymore.
a 50 share anymore. No.
Those were the old days of like the finale of Mary Tyler Moore Show. That was like 30 million, I think. I mean, you just don't get that anymore. It just doesn't, it doesn't happen. Christopher Shea was the actor who read S-H-E-A. I wonder if he's still alive. Let's try to find him. Wouldn't that be funny? Let's find him.
He's been an actor. Like his most recent role was on Friday Night Lights. That show, that Texas.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. That's interesting. We should find him. That was one. I mean, that reading and the innocence of the reading and the innocence of the voice and the construction. I think it wouldn't have been the same if it were an adult voice, Lee. It wouldn't have sounded the same. It wouldn't have been so meaningful, at least not to kids watching it for the first time.
Schultz understood authenticity back then. And he also, by the way, there was no laugh track. They wanted a laugh track. And I hate laugh tracks.
Oh, the worst.
And he understood that people they don't want to be told when to laugh. I'll laugh when I want to laugh and make me earn the laugh. And you're right. There was something beautiful, simple, authentic about that because, well, it actually was authentic. And that is the meaning of Christmas. That is the meaning of Christmas right there.
But I don't think today you could make this. I mean, there's no way this would get made today. No way.
No,
I doubt it.
I think you're right. And if you look back at even all the Warner Brothers stuff, Laura, which my kids, if I put that stuff on around the kids, they love that. And these new kid shows they can't stand because they actually infantilize kids. They're not interesting characters.
Dumb.
And a lot of it's borderline obscene, some of the stuff that they put on Nickelodeon. But this stuff, from Roadrunner to Snoopy, these were very sophisticated characters, but they weren't disgusting characters. And I think that the infantilization of kids through the cartoons and thinking that things have to blow up all the time and things have to be robots all the time is missing the humanity of children. And I think we pander to kids too much, and it's a shame. Charles Schultz didn't do it, and the Warner Brothers animators certainly didn't do it.
Now, when you go back and you watch the way music was used, opera was used, classical music tracks were used in Bugs Bunny, of course the jazz in Charlie Brown's Christmas, the writing in A Grinch Who Stole Christmas. And the hand-drawn animation, now it's all computer-drawn. This was all hand-drawn, frame by frame by frame. And who doesn't, with the Grinch, you're like, you nauseate me, Mr. Grinch. I mean, the whole way it was written in the face of the Grinch. No one who is a child who watched the Grinch, Lee, will forget the Grinch's face when he looks down in Whoville and he realizes that even after he took all the presents, they're still singing and they're still happy, and it changes him. And it reminds of you. People think you change people by shaking your finger at them or wagging your finger at them, and you don't. You change people by showing mercy at a very difficult time, and then they say, "Wow, that's what Christianity is all about." It's about helping someone when they're down, not helping someone when they're up, but helping someone when they're kicked to the curb.
I think that's right, Laura, and I think that's what it's all about. I mean, look, getting back to Food for the Poor, that's what I saw. I saw mercy in action. I said, boy, if the world could see Christians as we are, what we do, not what we're against, not what we're fighting against, but what we're for, what we believe in, the full context of our faith, and not just one issue over here or over there. I now refuse to answer questions on hotbed issues because I say, first get to know who we are as Christians. If you're really interested in who we are, then you can ask me questions down the road. But why don't you follow us for a week and see what we do with our money, with our time, and how we're trying to always live up to a higher standard. We don't always make it, and we pray for forgiveness, and we move on. But we're always looking to spread mercy and grace and love. And frankly, I wish our own party did more of this, Laura. I mean, I think this is an attribute that President Reagan taught us, and it's to love. It's a very powerful weapon, and the left's kind of love doesn't touch our kind of love. Doesn't touch it.
Did you see Pope Francis with those Rohingya refugees, as they were being, some were being welcomed back to their homeland after being driven out, and they're Muslims, and he was kissing their feet and washing their feet, and there are a lot of people who are, nasty about it online and saying, oh, this is. You're not looking, you're looking at the jihad. You don't understand what the jihad is. You understand what the Rohingya has nothing to do with that. But it was just an act of, the visual of that is like, Christ cleaning the feet before, his crucifixion, the washing of the feet. It's the same image, but that means something to people. If you take a moment, take politics away, whether you like the Pope, but just that image. I mean, do Muslims do that for Christians in Saudi Arabia? No. In Africa? No, they don't. They burn them alive. Sorry, but that's what's happening. So I thought that was very powerful as well.
Laura, I never told you this, but a segment on our show that we did back when I was helping you with the show and producing the show was with a guy named John Croyle. And he came on and he told the story about how he had adopted all these kids, almost 3,000, and he put them through college. And he had felt this tug in his heart to do it. He was a star Alabama player. He foregone a great salary in the NFL. Bear Bryant had told him, go help kids if that's what you want to do, and he did. And I visited him at the Big Oak Ranch. I became a Christian because of John Croyle, Laura, because nothing could explain that kind of generosity and love but Christ. Not for me. And you knew me. I wasn't a Christian. I admired Christians, but I had never been a Christian. John Croyle, his life, his mercy, his love, was the most powerful thing I'd ever seen. It made you cry that day. I'll never forget. You are not a crier on air, but you were crying on air. I was crying on air because it was a beautiful, beautiful story. And by the way, it was also a great story of how private intervention can do what the state and a social worker can never do. And that's love your neighbor as yourself.
We're talking to Lee Habib here on the Laura Ingraham Show. Food for the poor. Go to lauraingraham.com. You'll see that very large banner on the top of my website. Feeding children, giving them clean water for life costs very little money, And with what we spend on silly things that we really don't need, and a lot of us do that, we all know that, we can save a child today $50, gives clean water to a child for a whole year, $250 for life. It's amazing, and we have some very generous donors who've called in today and who've pledged a lot of money. But every penny counts. My kids are chipping in for this year, and we just want to encourage everyone. And $20,000. Someone just wanted to be anonymous. They don't want anything for it, and a lot of people want to be giving anonymously, which is great. But it's a phenomenal organization. And go to lauraingraham.com. You see that photo of me with one of the neediest children that I've ever met, and one of the sweetest as well. Lee, thank you for everything you're doing out there. We love our American stories, and just love your storytelling and your writing for Life Set, and we really, really appreciate it. We'll probably talk to you before Christmas, but thank you so much, and Merry Christmas.
Same here, and keep up the great work, Laura.
All right, Lee Habib here on the Laura Ingraham Show. We'll link up his website on lauraingraham.com. And a lot more to get to. We'll close out this hour. We're heading to New York. We'll be doing the Ingraham angle from New York today and tonight, and tomorrow night, back in Washington on Wednesday. Don't go away.
That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Your Healthy Radio Addiction starts now.
Power to the people!
The Laura Ingraham Show.
It's Christmas time all over the world. and Christmas here at home.
The United States will remember this day in which it was singled out for attack in the General Assembly for the very act of exercising our right as a sovereign nation. We will remember it when we are called upon to once again make the world's largest contribution to the United Nations. And we will remember it when so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay even more and to use our influence for their benefit.
Oh, I like Nikki Haley today. I'm really, really, really liking her today. This is great. First off, we pay 22% of the entire cost of that monstrosity in New York City, in Manhattan. I joked with John Bolton last night on the Ingraham angle that we should just drop that thing into Germany. Let's take the UN out of New York, send it over there to Germany. Merkel seems to have endless amounts of money. She's letting in 1 million refugees. They must be rolling in the dough. Let them handle it. Nikki Haley today, before the General Assembly rebuke of the United States on its decision to move our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, that which every president in my memory had promised to do and didn't do. Trump does it. And what do you mean you're doing it? How dare you? Well, Obama, your hero Obama said he was going to do it, and your hero Clinton said he was going to do it. They didn't do it. Trump's doing it. Nikki Haley continued.
America will put our embassy in Jerusalem. That is what the American people want us to do. And it is the right thing to do. No vote in the United Nations will make any difference on that. But this vote will make a difference on how Americans look at the UN and on how we look at countries who disrespect us in the UN. And this vote will be remembered. Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you. Saudi Arabia, Egypt.
Merry Christmas.
France. Well,
we're going to be saying Merry Christmas again many times. Merry.
In other words, he's making a list, checking it twice.
He is.
Naughty and nice.
Well, you heard what he said yesterday. We'll be watching this vote very closely. And what the hell, we'll save money.
Nikki, I want you to go in there. I don't want any Colin Powell equivocation. I don't want it. This is your moment. Don't blow it. No pressure. No pressure. Don't blow. He called her up and
said,
said,
"We're paying the cost to be the boss." Just tell him that. Who said that? Who said that?
22%. The only thing I disagree with Nikki Haley on is when she said Americans will begin to view the UN differently. Americans can't stand the UN. It's a big waste of money. I mean, we should not be spending our hard-earned money on the blue helmets. This should be equally distributed around the world. Why? China's rolling in the dough. Why doesn't China pay more?
Remember, Trump wanted to, in his previous incarnation as a real estate mogul, he wanted to buy the UN property and develop it. That's great East New York real estate with riverfront views. He wanted to knock that sucker down and redevelop it. This is back in like the 80s. He wanted it and made a play for it. But you got to shut it down first. So maybe that's what this is.
You know what we should do? We should put the UN in like Omaha. Make those people come to the heartland of America, really learn about what America's all about. Hey, move it to Kansas, Wichita. The UN in Wichita, wouldn't that be hilarious? See all these people showing up with their demands. They have to go to the Cracker Barrel. Yeah, they go to the Cracker Barrel and the Friendlies. That's what they should do.
Okay, we have a lot to get to in the hour.
855-40 Laura.
The year-end soundbite contest.
Let's start playing those sound bites, okay? Because otherwise we're not going to get through it. And then we have the real versus fake.
The epic real versus fake Christmas tree debate. And I want your calls. 855-40 Laura. Do you have a real or fake tree? And who do you agree with? Okay. We're not going to tell you yet who's siding with which position. But I'm going to tell you, you've been making fun of my sneezes and cold now for 2 days.
And I feel like I'm getting sick again. I got better. Now I feel like I'm getting sick again.
I know, but you know what could be making you sick?
Around
could be your tree. Your tree could be the source of your illness. It's like a silo of illness. Listen to you. It's pumping all those allergens into the air.
Well,
wait till I tell you these new studies. Frightening.
Had I actually been home long enough to enjoy the tree, that perhaps could be the case, Mr. Arroyo. However, I have not been home to enjoy the tree enough.
After 2 weeks, when I tell you, all of you, what your Christmas tree begins to do at 2 weeks in your home, you're going to want to throw that crap out right now before Christmas.
By the way, I was working in my bedroom, and I was propped up on my bed. I was on the computer, and this is a couple days ago, and Maria came in. We were talking about something, and I felt something in the right side of my hair.
Yeah.
That was one of the stink bugs in my hair.
No.
But you know how deathly afraid of bugs I am? I screamed. Like,
oh, no.
I'm like, how did that get? Maybe that was from the
From
tree.
your tree.
The stink bug.
They carry
Maybe.
bug. Wait,
Okay, all
I
right.
have new research that
Okay,
I've never
new
seen.
research.
We've done this debate
For
many
10
years.
years.
I have brand new findings that are going to convince
Raymond's
you.
been out and about trying to gather information.
I am the Margaret Mead of fake trees. I'm telling you, I'm going to convince you.
Okay.
Those real trees are dangerous to your health.
All right.
Fire it is
855-40 Laura, real versus fake. What do you have and why? All right, we're going to start the soundbite of the year contest though at the same time. So we're going to do multiple things at one time. But I love Nikki Haley today at the UN. We pay you carry the load for these people for years, and what do you get? Kicked in the teeth.
Well, this is a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, Trump's presidency is a Christmas miracle. Okay, soundbite number 1. Let's start at the beginning of the year. Okay, this was the Women's March the day after the inauguration. Okay, the day after the inauguration, where just hundreds of thousands of well-dressed and well-spoken women showed up, and it was a diversity of thought. I mean, this was really just representative of the female landscape to offer their sane and sober analysis of what a Trump presidency would be like.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
I am a nasty woman. I'm not as nasty as a man who looks like he bathes in Cheeto dust.
Oh, my God. Those two. That was Madonna and Ashley Judd.
Naomi Judd sent me a nice package the other day of stuff for the kids and
Really?
for Christmas. Yeah, Naomi Judd did, and she sent me that Tough Enough, that song that Stevie Ray Vaughan song that Winona recorded, did the cover of. I think it was she didn't write it. I think Stevie Ray Vaughan wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent me a nice note. She's a sweet woman, the mother of Ashley Judd.
She is.
But Ashley Judd's just awesome. And Naomi Judd could not be more conservative. She's good friends with Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. She's a lovely person. But that Ashley's just off the reservation. She got wrapped up with the Weinstein controversy too. I mean, it's a mess.
That was a big year for her.
That was a big year.
She was headlining the Women's March, and then headlining the Me Too movement.
Yeah, the Me Too. So she bookended the year for Ashley Judd.
That's right. Big year.
I've got to say, when I started listening to the Ashley Judd soundbite all over again, I began to agree with her when she started saying, "I am a nasty woman." Okay, yeah, finally we agree on something. All right, that's soundbite number 1. Soundbite number 2, Donald Trump with, what's Acosta's first name of CNN?
Jim Acosta.
Is it Jim? I don't even know his name. Is that his name, Jim Acosta of CNN? Let's listen.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
since you are attacking
No,
our news
not you.
organization,
Not
can
you.
you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are
is
attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you
is
give us a
terrible.
chance
Let's
to ask
go.
a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question.
Mr.
Don't be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No,
give
I'm
us
not
a
going to give you
question?
a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
James, is that 2017 or Mr. President-elect?
January, early January.
It was right before,
Right before
the
inauguration, I see.
Mm-hmm.
But
You're fake news.
He's had so many dust-ups.
You're fake news.
Fake news.
No.
I love his aside.
Get him the hell out of here.
No, he was...
I was waiting for him to call the Secret Service. Get him the hell out of here.
No, that was. Do we have Sean Spicer on the crowd size? Can we do that? That was a fun one too. All right, because we have to go in some type of chronological order. We're jumping around in chronology. We should go chronologically through the year. All right, this is Sean Spicer on the
inauguration day.
On the inauguration day. Let's go.
First press conference.
Yeah, first one. Go.
Inaccurate numbers involving crowd size were also tweeted. No one had numbers because the National Park Service, which controls the National Mall, does not put any out. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
Oh, no. That's when he picked up the lectern and threw it into the... That started a very positive relationship with the press, poor Sean.
First impressions.
No, that didn't. And it got more negative the day after. Remember, the day after it continued.
Oh, but remember, when he walked up to that podium,
Angry.
his veins were bursting in his neck. Let me tell you
Get
all
out there,
something.
Sean, and tell him it.
was just...
Look at the crowds. Remember, they kept tweeting out the photos of the empty back area of the... It was just because they had that white stuff on the ground.
They had that white
tarp. Or
yeah,
whatever
that tarp trying to replant the grass or whatever.
And then, what's the next one, James?
The next one is Nancy Pelosi having a little bit of sound difficulties.
This was in the summer,
microphone.
correct? Was this in the summer or the early fall when they were? They were doing a press conference on what? Do we remember?
Yeah, this was regarding the Trump travel ban, if I'm not mistaken, trying to gather together and rally and sing Kumbaya.
Oh, okay, the travel ban. Okay, this is Nancy Pelosi trying to get her mojo back.
I can hear you. Can you hear us? It's not on? Is somebody going to deal with this? Crack staff? Can't hear? Can you hear now? No, that doesn't do any good. Does this work better? No. Staff? Sound people?
Sound people.
Sound people?
Oh, no. But the best thing is that this went on for about... I think this went on for like 3 minutes. She kept
Hello,
going,
can you
hello?
hear me?
No, I can't hear. Crack staff.
Crack staff. I need some. This isn't helping.
It's the asides that I love from Nancy
Crack
Pelosi.
This isn't helping.
No.
Like she's talking to her, I don't know,
No one.
her little Jiminy Cricket on her shoulder.
Okay, so we have go through the list first, James, because I can't remember.
Women's March.
Yep, we have Women's March with Madonna and Ashley Judd.
Trump and Acosta,
Trump and
number
Acosta,
2.
fake news, which
Right.
is hilarious.
Spicer, number 3.
Correct.
Nancy Pelosi's sound difficulties.
Correct.
Number 4.
Okay, so that's number 4. What's number 5?
Number 5 is Donald Trump passing the biggest tax cut ever, celebrating in front of the White House.
All right.
An amazing experience, I have to tell you. Hasn't been done in 34 years, but actually really hasn't been done because we broke every record. It's the largest, I always say the most massive, but it's the largest tax cut in the history of our country, and reform, but tax cut. Really something special.
I don't think that's a great soundbite. I mean, it's okay, but I don't think that's not the best. No. That's a weak one, James. That's not the best. But it's true. It's historic. It's not the largest tax cut, though. The Reagan tax cuts were bigger than that in 1983. Craig Shirley's going to kill me if I get it wrong. But I think it was 83, 82. So the Reagans were bigger. But nevertheless, it was a historic moment. Historic moment, not a great soundbite, though. I think the going to the NATO and saying, we love you, but we're not doing this. I think his statement to China and China and Russia that they're not our partners. I think we've had a lot of people in this administration who have stepped up to do a phenomenal job. I think General Kelly, where he talked about history in my interview with him, I think that will go down as one of the great moments of this year for him. When in John Kelly at the White House briefing room, when he talked about military service. James, get that one? How no one in that press room understood. A lot of people didn't understand what it's like to bury a loved one or fight side by side with a unit mate overseas, and that we don't appreciate the military perhaps enough. To me, that was another great moment. 855-40-LAURA, Soundbite of the Year contest. You've heard our entry so far. You can choose one of them. Again, it was Trump, Acosta, Spicer crowd size. We got the nasties at the Women's March. General Kelly, James will get us on military sacrifice and service, and a lot more. 855-40-LAURA, do you have a real or fake Christmas tree, and why? And is there a preference that one preference that really leapfrogs the other, and for what reason? I've always had real trees. Don't go away.
You made this a Christmas to remember.
We will remember it when we are called upon to once again make the world's largest contribution to the United Nations. And we will remember it when so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay even more and to use our influence for their benefit.
Let them vote against us. We'll save a lot.
I'm the happiest Christmas tree. Oh, ho, ho, he, he. Someone came and they found me and took me home with them. Oh, I'm the happiest.
Back on the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. Soundbite contest, real versus fake debate. It's the end of the year, last show of the year. Hard to believe it. It's been a phenomenal year for this show and for the country.
And for you.
And for Raymond. And I hope all of you have had a good year. Every year brings its share of triumphs and pitfalls and joys and setbacks. And we all have that in our lives. I mean, you count the blessings that you have and try to keep looking forward. I try not to look back too much. I mean, it doesn't really get anywhere to look back. Got to look forward.
Yep.
Back is over. Forward is tomorrow, and the present is, is what we have right now. So enjoy the moments with your family this holiday and Christmas, and remember what Christmas is all about. Don't get yourself all stressed out about gifts or any of that, and just try to enjoy the time you have.
I just pray everyone is going to be celebrating around a fake tree this year.
Okay, here we go.
And here's why.
All right, here we go.
My investigation of the last
Dimitri,
week.
water my tree, please.
Real trees have pesticides. They have a huge fire danger, as apparently one of our callers will alert us to. And there's something called Christmas tree syndrome, where spores and mold grow on your trees. Now, this is the new stuff. Annals of Allergy, they just reported this. After 2 weeks, the number of airborne mold spores increase in your tree from 800 units per 35 cubic feet to 5,000 units. So the mold spores are moving through the air, and that makes people sick. Allergies go up. They are mildly toxic, real trees are, to pets. The fir oil in fir trees cause mouth as well as stomach inflammation, and God forbid.
Maybe that's why my stomach's been burning.
You swallowed a shat. You may have swallowed a real tree shat. Well, the shats, the needles,
family show.
Needles on the trees, the shats, can puncture pets' stomach lining and can maybe send stink bugs into your hair. I haven't even.
Hi, this is Ben Domenech, the host of the Federalist Radio Hour. We're a daily show coming to you 5 days a week from Washington, D.C., where we interview our nation's top journalists, politicians, authors, chefs, economists, entertainers, and more. If you're looking for a contrarian discussion on news, politics, or culture, give us a listen and subscribe at podcastone.com, the new Podcast One app, or at Apple Podcasts.
Christmas is a-comin' and the bells begin to ring. The holly's in the window and the birds begin to sing. Now don't take time to worry and don't take time to fret. And the more you give at Christmas time, the more
I like this.
you
Who's this?
get.
Bing.
How do I even not know that? That's disturbing.
It sounds like Bing, and I don't know who else is there.
Bing in a crowd.
Bing and Family. He did all those Christmas specials. He'd drag out all the kids. Here's Catherine bringing out my boys. Come over here, boys.
Yeah, and they would always appear. It was always those cardboard sets.
Right.
And they'd be sitting on higher and higher platforms.
Yeah.
So there'd be someone here, there'd be a step up to another platform. It's like the Osmonds Christmas.
Right.
It was. I think they filmed them in the same studio. They were all so chintzy. They would throw some. All right.
There was something sweet about
Okay,
all
we
those
have to
things.
add one more soundbite to our end of the year soundbite
We do?
contest. Yes, one more soundbite. This is General John Kelly when he walked into the briefing room to address the press.
Who are these young men and women? They are the best 1% this country produces. Most of you, as Americans, don't know them. Many of you don't know anyone who knows any one of them. But they are the very best this country produces. And they volunteer to protect our country when there's nothing in our country anymore that seems to suggest that selfless service to the nation is not only appropriate but required.
855-40-LAURA. Trump taking down Acosta of CNN is fake news. General Kelly, the Women's March,
Spicer, Nancy Pelosi losing her way without an audio system. Those are some of the sound bites of the year. You pick one. 855-40-LAURA.
We should go to the phones.
All right, let's go to the phones. Real versus fake Christmas tree and the soundbite contest. Raymond claims that real trees hold allergens and bugs
and they
snakes.
harbor insects, rodents, mites, and you see in the cool weather they stay in the tree. When you take them into your living room and it's warm, they emerge.
Okay.
And we've had callers of tarantulas coming out, snakes coming out of the tree. It's scary. That thing, the very idea that you have a dead thing in the middle of your living room
It's
for
dead.
weeks, Ingram, is
What if
sad.
you have it in a pot and it's alive? Maybe I should get one of those
Right.
live.
Yeah, but those things are like $800.
Yeah, those are really expensive.
Yeah, so you're going to put a full-size fir in a pot? Good luck.
That would be hard.
Just get a fake tree.
I have to say, this year, my tree did not hold up like previous trees.
I saw that tree. It's sad.
No, it's not a sad
It's brown,
tree.
and
It's
the
not
little needles,
brown.
the shats are all over. It's a carpet of shats, a
Yeah,
rug
it
of
is.
shats all
It
around
is.
the
There
tree.
are.
Very
it's
sad.
more than I had remembered the last time I had a real tree.
Yeah. That's
And
because your dogs aren't eating them as frequently now because they're so sick.
no. Well, I do like the smell, but the smell didn't seem to last as long as it did
Rebecca
before.
lights those pine candles around the house. My house
Just
smells
light
like
those.
pine all year. She lights that crap all year long. So you don't need a tree to do it. The fake smell is just as good.
All right, 855-40-LAURA.
And you don't have to water it. You don't have to cut
Yeah,
it. You
I
don't
gotta
have
say,
to drag
Dimitri
it.
has to turn into a pretzel to get that the tea kettle to water
And
that
his face
tree.
is all scarred up trying
He
to
did.
get to it.
He had a bruise on the side of his face. I said, "What happened, Dimitri?" He said, "Mama, it happened when I was watering that tree." I don't know. He hit his face going. I don't know how he possibly did that. But 855-40-LAURA. Eric. Oh no.
TJ in Delaware.
TJ in Delaware. TJ, go ahead, my friend. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas deal. I've had fake or real trees since I was a little guy, and I refused to get a fake tree. And I'm a firefighter. I've been a firefighter back here in Delaware for years, volunteer. Number of Christmas tree fires every year. Didn't bother me at all. And a few years ago, my poor wife, has allergies. She would suffer through it because, the kids loved the real tree and all that. Up till about 3 years ago, alumni family of mine from Severn, over in Maryland, the grandmother, the grandfather, and 4 kids were burned to death.
Ooh.
The house burned
Oh,
down.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that story.
Yeah, because of the Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's just not worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, how did it happen though? Was it next to a heater, or it just combusted by itself with no?
Well, there's a dump. They get dry, and you think by watering them in the bottom of the base, they're going to be great. You could have a little spark and set the whole thing off. It's absolutely amazing. If you ever watch, just go on YouTube and do
No
Christmas tree
thanks.
fires.
Now this is going to terrify me. This whole. Okay.
The National Institute of
Now
Standards.
you've made me scared.
He's right. National Institutes of Standards and Technology says it takes 5 seconds for a tree to be engulfed in flames. A Christmas tree. 5 seconds. I'm telling you.
Well, how did our country survive? We've had real trees for 200
Do you know, again,
200 years
my
we've had trees.
expert research has discovered in the 1800s,
Negative.
because
they had
of
real candles on the trees back then. My mother was a little girl. They had real candles on the trees.
Right. Well,
Real candles.
Well, but in the 1800s, they were worried about deforestation. They created feather trees because they
Well, that's not
were
a bad
worried about
idea.
cutting them down. So fake trees do have a tradition in America. They were traditional in our own way.
I am going to open up my mind to a fake tree for. I'll have one
It's
fake
taken
tree.
me 10 years. I've converted.
I'm going to have one fake tree that are any made in the United States or all
yes.
made in China?
No, there are a couple of. There are only 1 or 2, but there are 1 or 2 fake.
Look that
tree.
up. I don't believe you.
All right.
I don't
I'll
believe
find
there's
them
any
for you.
made in the United States anymore.
All right.
Look it up. I don't want to have any Chinese tree in my house. I'm not. I look at stuff made in China, and if I can, I throw it away.
All right. Let's go to Greg in Maine.
Okay, Greg, go ahead. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Love the show, but Raymond, you need to stop with the fake news about the real Christmas trees. They're better for the environment than fake ones.
Well, you know what? That's what they say, Greg. But again, my research has turned up something.
Greg, you're right.
Because because if you keep a fake tree for 4 to 5 years, it has a smaller carbon footprint than a real tree because of the diesel and the transport and everything involved
and the chainsaw.
with getting it down the
Chainsaws
hill
are
and to
pollutants.
you. So between the fire hazards, the shats, the insects
elderly,
and the rodents,
the
I don't
elderly,
see it.
as you get older, the idea of hauling a tree in the house. I mean,
Ridiculous.
elderly people tend to have the fake trees. They can pull them out of the box and put them out. They look great.
Right.
Do you actually? Let me tell you what I really dislike about the trees is having to take the ornaments off. Taking the ornaments off.
So what do you want to throw the ornaments out with the tree?
Well,
Is that what you do?
I don't know. I hate taking the ornaments off. That is one of the most depressing
It is depressing.
tasks.
Well, see,
And then you think Christmas is going to be another year away.
But in New
It's
Orleans,
depressing.
what we do is, and this is a
You
little
keep the
note for
tree up
everybody,
through-
you take those ornaments down and you put your Mardi Gras ornaments up, because Mardi Gras season starts on the 12th night, on the night of the Epiphany, January 6th. So just as Christmas ends, you start Mardi Gras and you leave it up for another month. So and it's all purple and gold and
I
green.
have white Christmas lights outside of my drive into my house.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of at least leaving those up all whole year. Why'd you even take them down? I'll be one
Leave
of those
them.
people who leaves them up. I
I
like
like
the
that.
lights on the trees.
I do too.
The white lights on the trees. Are they a fire hazard? Those little lights? They aren't, are they?
On your inside, they are not outside. No.
Well, I didn't like some of my landscaping anyway. Let's take it all down. 855-40-LAURA. All right. Soundbite of the year. We got John Kelly schooling the press on military service. We have Sean Spicer on the crowd size, period. We have Jim Acosta getting taken down by Donald Trump. We have sound people. Oh, it's not working. Okay, that's crack staff. We have Nancy Pelosi. We have the Women's March harpies with their comments about blowing up the White House. What? Well, how did Madonna go from where was she from? Brooklyn to having a British accent.
Yeah, I
From
don't
Brooklyn
know.
to British.
She lived over there.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
Johnny Depp. He
Oh,
also,
come on.
he's always now talking this way, and
Oh,
I don't know where
please.
he got
You
that.
never left the Pirates of the Caribbean. That ride at Disney, going in the boat at Disney, the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's a pretty good ride.
It's a fun
It's
ride.
amazing. I mean, it
Yep.
actually looks really good. They did a great job of
Bill in Nevada on the soundbite contest.
that. Bill, go ahead, my friend.
Merry Christmas to all you guys, and
Merry
thanks for
Christmas.
what you do. I think any serious patriotic American has to go with General Kelly in a landslide. Although I would like to nominate Nikki Haley at the beginning of the year when she told our allies at the UN that we'll be taking names if you don't back us.
At the end of the year, she just said, you mean her speech that she just made at the UN? I agree with you. That's the best I've ever heard, Nikki Haley.
For those that don't have our back, we're taking names. We will make points to respond to that accordingly. But this is a time of strength.
This is a time of strength for the United States. We're making our own calls. I love Trump over at the United Nations. That was another. See, we could have the whole soundbite contest just be Trump. I love all you guys, but it's time for you all to pay your fair share. He says it right to their faces. Macron, who's maybe 5'2", became 4'7" after that speech. That was great. Merkel was so upset. She skipped her bratwurst that day. She didn't have the extra bratwurst. She went on a fast. She only had 3 bratwurst at lunch.
By the way, just so you know, there is a company, Crystal Valley in Oregon. They
Yep.
make artificial Christmas trees
Okay.
in the United States.
Well, maybe I'll.
So they're not all Chinese, though a lot of them at Target and other places are.
Well, I'm just not. I personally don't like taking down the ornaments. That is depressing.
I know, but whether you have a real or a fake tree, you still have to take down the
Can't you
ornaments.
just leave the ornaments up every year?
Okay,
the
leave
same?
all your
Dangling?
memories up. Oh, you're talking about just bagging the tree like my grandmother used to and push it in the
Yeah.
closet. That's what she did. She put a big, hefty bag over it, push it, roll it into the closet, and the next year,
Sounds
look, my
good to me.
Christmas tree's up.
So, I mean, right now, with the little time I
If
have.
you're retired and you have an extra room, why not?
Put it
I'd
in
leave
there.
it up. That's what I'd do. But taking it apart and boxing it and
no.
putting it up,
and then
that's a pain.
then you have to buy the ornament bags for the ornament. Oh no, it's a
The
big
boxes,
scam.
the divider boxes.
The divider boxes. It's a big scam. That Container Store. Talk about made in China.
All
Every item in the Container Store is made in China. I think every item. It's like
Probably.
Target. Every item in Target. Not every item, but most every item is made in China.
Yep.
I hope that starts to change with this new trade policy. I hope it starts to change with the new tax policy. 855-40-LAURA, real versus fake. And I'm gonna say that General Kelly wins. General Kelly and Donald Trump are tied for the soundbite of the
And
year.
I'm going to say, after a decade, you're finally a believer in artificial trees. It took 10 years of shats and sick dogs, but now you're a believer. I like that.
I'm 20%. Oh, very fun. I'm having some people over tomorrow night to screen the big Darkest Hour film. I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to have a fun time and a little merriment in the Ingraham household with a movie screening. Let's go to Dorothy in Indiana. Miss Dorothy, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Laura. Love your show.
Thanks so much.
I just wanted to share a vote for the artificial trees. We had friends years ago that brought in a frozen tree, put it in the stand, let it thaw in their living room, and the next morning they woke up, there's this dark shadow on the floor under the tree, and not only did the tree thaw, but they literally hatched thousands of spiders. So,
oh my God!
Okay, why don't we, yeah, you don't
moving
wanna wake up.
shadow.
Oh, no, that is... Okay, Dorothy, now I'm going to have nightmares. You know I'm afraid of bugs. That is terrifying. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Let's go to Pat in Kansas. Pat, welcome. Pat's drought. Let's go to John in Florida. Johnny, well, Merry Christmas.
John?
John's not there?
Hello.
Okay, John, go ahead, my
John
friend.
is here.
Go ahead.
Hi, my friend Marty had the best idea for the artificial Christmas tree. He had an old school film projector, a screen that you used to use like back in school in the old days.
Yeah.
And he could roll this thing down, and he had a Christmas tree painted on it, and he had ornaments painted on it, and he could roll it down hanging from the wall, put the Christmas presents in front of it, and when he was done, he would roll the thing back up, and he'd put it right back in the attic, and he's done. He could decorate in 5 minutes.
A hologram. Christmas tree holograms.
Hologram.
This is the business we need to go
Wow.
into, Ingram.
That actually
No
could-
muss, no fuss.
No fuss, just a projection.
Right.
How about virtual reality? Everyone just slaps on a headset and you can experience Christmas with none of the cleanup.
But wouldn't it be great if you could put a projector on the ceiling, project it down, kind of like that star-spangled thing they put on the front of people's houses, but to have the
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
tree in the middle of your house.
That's
It would
actually-
look like a tree.
That's a great idea. Let's go to Valerie in California. Valerie.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
I have 12 artificial Christmas trees. I put them up the day after Thanksgiving.
That a
I
girl.
do them so they don't die before Christmas. A week before we get our real one, which goes in our kitchen.
So 12. You must have a nice size home. That's quite ambitious. I could barely do one tree. These people have 5 trees. That's incredible. Even the fake are real. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of. We got to have a lot of space for that. It's pretty though. It's
Well, the
pretty.
nice thing about a fake tree is you know how big it is. So
Yeah.
you can, it's not. Now this year I bought a new fake tree after 12 years. It took 3 buys to find one that would actually fit in the den. There was one that was just too big, so then the other one was too small, then the other one was too high, so I finally found one.
Tonight, the Ingraham Angle, we have a great show on tap. We're going to be hitting a couple of the things that we didn't have a chance to talk about today. In Memphis, there's a big story brewing that involves erasing American history. We'll talk about that. We'll have our own conversation about the cultural highlights and lowlights of the year. And everybody have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. I'll see you back here.
Thanks for listening to the Laura Ingraham Show podcast. Download new episodes every week at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.
Podcast One has new shows on our new app. Check out all the cool features to help you explore our exciting new programming, like America's Lakers podcast with Jay Moore, Sessions with Randy Jackson, So Random with Corinne Olympios, Attack Each Day, The Harbaugh's podcast, Not Just Sports with Susie Schuster and Rich Eisen, and Sound of Success, the Dick Enberg podcast, as well as your old favorites like The Lady Gang, Steve Austin, Shaquille O'Neal, and Adam Carolla. Get the new Podcast One app in the App Store, Google Play, or podcastone.com.